Leap of Fate. Chapter 1. He is wearing a black three-piece suit that clung to his body like second skin. His smile reached his eyes. The entire universe reflected in them. They spoke of promise and of hope, of excitement and of eagerness. The happiness from his eyes made his handsome features more handsome. His smile. Oh, his smile. Like the first time she saw him. It was sweet and captivating. It spoke of anticipation, bliss, and hope. He is the perfect groom. All 6 feet of him stood at the end of the aisle, waiting. All emotions he felt showed on his face like a kaleidoscope. He is happy, nervous, anxious and giddy all at the same time. His gaze fixed on the person walking towards him. He widened his smile as the space between them decreased. Tears formed at the corner of his eyes. He seemed to see his future flash in front of him in a montage. As Serene looked at Bryan's bright eyes, she cannot help but feel she was stepping into one of her dreams many years ago. In her dream, he was waiting for her with a smile stamped upon his face. He looked at her. Adoration filled his eyes as she took her time to walk down the aisle. She was dressed in white and was holding a tiny bouquet. She glided towards the altar, closing the gap between them inch by inch. Looking up, she smiled at him from beneath the thin veil that covered her face. He smiled back at her. Today, he wore the same smile. It was the kind that melts your heart, makes your knees weak, and makes your heart drum from your chest. It is the smile that assures you that from that day forward, nothing else mattered. Everything else is ephemeral and only you and him exist. She first saw Bryan in one of the fashion events she hosted when she was in college. She would do such part-time jobs after joining and winning a local beauty pageant. He was one of the male models for the fashion event. The event organizers asked for a quick meeting before the show starts. They called them together in the small function hall. Like everyone else, she went to the meeting venue. As soon as she opened the door, the frigid air from the air conditioner embraced her. The knee-length red dress she wore did not help her at all. She let out a shiver as goosebumps formed on her exposed arms. She rubbed her arms and hoped that the friction she created would generate enough warmth. "You must be cold." The deep and warm voice of a young man welcomed her as he reached out to give her his jacket. She was a little surprised by the unexpected gesture, and his warm smile had drawn her to him. It was a toothy smile, almost like from a toothpaste commercial, but unlike those advertisements. His smile reached the eyes. It gave off a warm and friendly vibe. It lit up his face and made everything around him fade in a blur. For a moment, those bright eyes and red lips pulled her into a world and time where only they existed. His lit-up face and her slack-jawed self. She forgot she was feeling cold or the room full of people who were busy chatting with each other. Stunned, she looked at him, transfixed in the moment. He shook his hand that held the jacket in front of her, cutting off her thoughts. His friendly and somewhat mischievous smile on his lips. "Thank you. I did not expect it to be this cold here." Serene smiled shyly as she accepted his jacket. As soon as it enveloped her shoulders, she immediately felt warm. She inhaled a faint cologne from it. It smelled clean, refreshing, and masculine, but not overbearingly. The scent was subtle and did not assault the senses. "I am Bryan. By the way," he extended his right hand towards her. "Serene," she said, as she took his extended hand and shook it. And just like that, they went on their respective agenda for the night. He went to his fellow models while she took a quiet spot to sit. As they listened to the last-minute changes and reminders, she cannot help but throw quick and clandestine glances in his direction. He looked handsome, even in his profile. He had perfectly curated features, his prominent nose, thick brows, and red lips. They were like an artwork. The more she looked at him, the faster her heart beat. He probably noticed her gaze because he also turned to look at her. When their eyes met, he smiled at her, caught red-handed. Her cheeks felt hot. She withdrew her gaze and did not look at him again. afraid that he might catch her ogling at him again. Before being escorted to the stage by the event organizers, she walked up towards him and returned his jacket. She thanked him, then walked away to go about her hosting duties. The event began and ended without further interaction between them. She went home feeling tired from the event and a little downtrodden because she did not see him even at the after party. As she was lying on her bed staring at the ceiling, she cannot help but recall that barely a minute interaction between them. That negligible interaction became a permanent resident of her memory. She replayed it in her mind repeatedly. Despite feeling a little disappointed, she still slept with a smile on her face and dreamed the sweetest dream she ever had. Thanks for listening to the Bravonovel audiobook. Welcome to download the Bravonovel app. Read the novel Leap of Fate online and get the latest updates.